Alrighty, alrighty.
Welcome to the podcast.
It is your boy, Visk.
Asmund Gold. Oh shit.
Oh no, that's not us, guys. Oh no,
What's up? It's your boy Asmund Gold.
just another internet neckbeard playing WoW.
Yeah, y'all thought this was gonna be a D&D stream. No.
No.
I'm actually gonna
Not
show you
good.
my sick gameplay montage.
Wanna see how I roll die? It's amazing. No one can roll a d20 like I can roll a d20.
Y'all listen to this shit. Ready to hear some action? Oh, I don't know where I put my D20. What the fuck?
Yo! Spread your
None.
butter says yo.
What's up, brother? Welcome, Egg.
Eggman.
I am here.
Eggman and the biscuit. Spread your butter. I got it working.
Red thine butter. I'm gonna switch the category. That's not right. Category Dungeons and Dragons. There we go. Tag.
Alrighty. So for our first episode on Tavern Talks, we will be discussing the notorious Player's Handbook. Because some of y'all fuckers don't know how to fucking read.
Negative. The legends foretold when a player would come into a session prepared, understanding their rulebook, understanding their character. But, no.
This is mind-boggling. Can you please tell us how you read?
Just hear subconsciously. Congratulations.
I think we're good to kick it off in full force. What do you think?
I think we need about 20 more minutes. Who dares message me? What?
Oh my god.
What?
Oh no.
We're not starting soon. We are started.
Alright, dudes. Let us begin.
I wonder why it's not. What the fuck?
Welcome to the Bush Ass Friends. This is Tavern Talks Podcast. I am your host, Vicinium.
I am your other host, Fardik Thong Dong.
And today we will be talking about a bunch of things. But to start off, let's just talk about, classes. What do you like? What's your favorite class?
How about we take a step back? How's everybody in chat
step
doing
back?
today? How are y'all holding up in this coronavirus infected world? In the bushes. Feeling good?
I know that this coronavirus has probably put a pause on a lot of people's lives at the moment, so
Oh shit, yeah, dude. I worked from home all day today.
prayers out, dude. Prayers out.
Still in the same outfit I woke up in this morning.
You know what that means, though? If you just stay home, that's more D&D to play, am I right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're all here, right? We want to talk about some Dungeons and Dragons. Am I right? Hey.
Yes, sir.
I think some of the most underrated things that a player will look over most times is definitely going to be their feats. I think they look at their stats and they believe that their character is complete, but this is just so far from the truth. Like,
Yeah, the problem with that, though, with feats, is when you hit level 4, well, on a standard class aside from, like, fighter, but, like, it's kind of hard to balance feats between ASIs, because, like, say if you're a caster class, you're going to want to get your casting stat up to max as fast as possible, so feats kind of fall to the wayside, even though they do add a interesting flavor to each build.
they do. And we all know from the Westmarch campaign, Sinclair the Bread Knight, with that ridiculously overpowered
Mm,
polearm mastery and sentinel.
I don't think using the phrase overpowered would be necessarily correct
Okay,
because
I'd say it's
if it
slightly
misses
overbalanced.
it,
Slightly overbalances.
well, part of it you have to remember too is like I just said about ASIs, I now no longer have a extra +1 to my damage into attack. So if I miss with my reaction, then both those feats really don't mean shit. Though I do get the extra attack off my bonus action, which isn't bad.
Also really nice at level 5 though. Man,
3 attacks does not hurt.
that was really nice. Oh, I like your warlock build though in particular. Hexblade, Pact of the Hexblade, really nice
Yeah,
for Sophia.
yeah, she's a good
I like
time.
the greatsword damage. Jesus,
You're a bit quiet,
that,
my friend.
that greatsword damage is nothing to be laughed at. Like
Yeah,
D10,
no,
D10,
2d6.
2d6. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. D10 is glaive. D10 is glaive and two-handed longsword and a couple other things.
Correct, Mundo.
A really good coupling with with a weapon like that is if you go with like great weapon fighter, which
Right.
allows you to re-rolls your ones and twos. It could really boost your damage up like a abnormal amount.
Like a little bit more damage is damage. Either way, damage is damage.
Mm-hmm.
Want to put out as much of that stuff as possible. Like no doubt in my mind. Um, another thing is people. I see a lot of people trying to multi-class into classes they know nothing about, or they multi-class and don't understand the current class that they're already in. Some of these would be warlock into sorcerer, which is obviously the most one of the most notorious warlock builds. Very power gamey. Very much of a damage output. Glass cannon though. Uh, Bard. A lot of people don't know how to use Bard, their Bardic Inspiration, or they don't know what feats they have. They don't understand how their weapons work. They don't understand what their hit die is. They don't understand what proficiencies they themselves have. This can couple up and make a snowball effect essentially.
You're getting quiet on me.
It just makes a snowball effect essentially, like moving down, uh, and just pushing it over down a slope essentially. So if you're having this fighter class, for instance, and you want to multi-class into something else, but don't completely understand how your current class works, how would you know the effectiveness of it if you dip levels into another class? And then this can sometimes end up being your own downfall. The later you get on in levels, if you do happen to survive that long, you may not be happy with your build. It takes a lot of reading and understanding what is the goal overall that you wish to do with this character.
Hey, Fireman, welcome to the stream, my friend.
He's the man fire bandit.
Yeah, so multi-classing could be a bit of a challenge. You kind of have to read through everything, and including sorry, you kind of have to read through both classes that you intend to do, and then make sure your stats around it are fine. So like, sometimes things sound good in your head, and then when you start rolling it out, you're like, maybe
Right.
this really isn't that good. Wizard into Paladin, let's do it. Well, so the
Not
thing that actually wouldn't be the worst in the world because your Paladin has a lot of stats based around intelligence for like skills. So
right.
if you turn into more of a caster-based character, then it wouldn't be bad. But then you're going to start running thin on your strength, charisma, and con, because then you're also going to want to boost your intelligence up to make your saves higher and your skills higher.
You're like a mainly strength-based character who doesn't have nearly any strength.
Well, part of multi-classic too is you have to hit 13 in each class that you want to use. So what'll happen is if, like, let's say you go 13 into strength, well, now you can't wear your chainmail that you start off with as a paladin, so that means you're gonna have to start off as a wizard, and then that means you want to have all your martial weapons. So it kind of comes down to, well, why the hell am I playing a paladin? Plus, if you really want to look into it, you could just go an elf and then go wizard and then go blade singer, which is effectively the same thing, or war mage, one of the two.
War Mage is really nice. I like War Mage.
Abjurer isn't bad either. I believe that's the one that gives you armor.
Yes.
I once
That's
made
like
a
buffs and whatnot.
I once made a build that actually started fighter to give proficiencies, and then I multied into a wizard.
Huh.
Wonder actually if I have that
How was that?
available.
Like, how effective was that class in your opinion?
I never played it.
Never played it?
Nope. Oh, there it is. I built it for... Yeah, I'll show you.
In theory, guys, it's approximately like 6 minutes in theory.
So there you go. This is my fighter multi-class into a wizard.
Sigmund Truesworn. Interesting.
Yep.
Jesus, Murphy. Ooh.
Low HP.
Ooh. Let's talk about that charisma. You're a wizard, so I mean.
It don't matter. I don't need charisma. It's a dump stat.
Yeah.
So we get spells, shall we?
Wisdom. You don't need that. You just need intelligence. Get all that intelligence, boy. You want all the intelligence you can get. You a smart boy.
Yep. Yes, sir. Now, the issue with multi-classing, if you're a caster, is you wind up losing your higher level slots. So, like, this character in particular has the capacity to hit 6 levels, like by a level 11 that the module caps out at. I'd be able to cast 6 level spells. But instead of that, I decided to multi-class, and now I'm screwed with 5th level spells.
Mm. And what race is this character?
Human. Variant human.
Human? So you get the +1 to all stats.
Nope, +1 to 2 stats that I select.
Oh, variant human, not human?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to talk about, Twitch chat? Think about, ponder about?
Anything about y'all's particular classes or anything you have a question on? Shoot. What y'all got? What is it that you all have for us? Dun, 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 dun.
What is proficiency?
That's a good question.
Proficiency. Well, let's look, shall we?
Let's give him the book.
Let's look at proficiencies.
Very important.
So, proficiency. It's what you're proficient at, to say the least.
In layman's terms, yes.
Yeah. So, it allows you to take a proficiency bonus that you get per level. Oh, sorry, not per level. It's based around what level you are. So, like, different levels will give different amounts. So, like, on this character in particular, he has a +2 proficiency, which means if I select proficiency in a skill like acrobatics, that means I get a +2 to it, as well as my mods. So, with expertise doubles my proficiency bonus.
Right.
And you're also quiet.
So proficiency will give you your base proficiency. Half
okay, hold on.
will give you half proficiency.
So the way that it works is you start off with a 0. Then it goes off of your mod. So like let's take this Rhombus's Deception. So he does not have proficiency, so he wouldn't get a +2. And then he has a -1 in charisma, so that 0 would get knocked down to a -1 through mods. But let's take his history, for example. So he has a +3 in it through intelligence, so that brings it up to a +3. And then his proficiency adds a +2. Now, say if I dabbled into Bard or Rogue or anything that gave me expertise, that would double that proficiency at this current level to 4. So then it would bring Investigation to 7. So it doesn't double your mod, it doubles your proficiency bonus.
That's what I was saying. Like it doubles your proficiency bonus. So
Yep.
half proficiency will give you half. It will give you what? Half of your proficiency bonus, right? Added onto your modifier. Correct?
Yep.
And then proficiency, you have your modifier, and then you add your proficiency bonus to that, your base proficiency bonus. And then expertise is double your proficiency bonus on top of your base modifier.
Thank you for the follow, Taco Presents. Welcome to the stream, my friend.
Welcome to the stream, Taco Presents. You are welcome into the Bushas. Buddhas.
And then also proficiency is added into saving throws and whatnot as well, which is very nice. So that's what makes resilient feats really nice, like Charisma Con and etc. not only could it round off a stat, it also could, add that extra +2 to your save that you'll need.
100%.
Which is just another 5% per point, so fuck it.
And, trust me, every little bit helps. Because, for instance, like I ran a session impromptu last Saturday for the Westmarch. Unbeknownst to me, one of our warlocks, Sophia, had a marvelous spell, counter spell. And there was 2 instances during that entire session where the party would have met their inevitable doom if it were not for counterspell. And meeting these DCs, because if you look at counterspell, it's 10 plus whatever the spell level is.
It depends. It depends on, like, for me, since you're casting at 5th level, I was casting at 3rd level. That's what procs the DC. But like, let's say you were casting a 3rd level spell and I casted it at like 4th level, it would just instantly be gone.
It'd be bounced off, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is...
If I upcast it higher than what you're casting it at, it'll just fizzle out right away. No roll needed.
It's also no bueno that you have like little to no spell slots.
Yeah. For future reference, everybody listening is a caster, and you could take counterspell, and you're not a warlock. Take it, because if a counterspell is being relied on a warlock, yikes! I could do it twice.
Better make some good use of those counter spells, and you did each time. Amazing.
Yeah.
Our little Power Rangers growing up.
Be quiet.
Our little Power Rangers are growing up. Making me proud, man. So, guys, in the chat, is there what else y'all got? We just covered proficiency.
You're still really quiet, dude.
We just covered proficiency, guys. So, is there anything else that you would like to throw at us? What else do you need clarification on? We are here to help.
Go over races.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What is the best time to heal? That's actually a good question. It's kind of subjective to the fight. I would say it's always nice to have a heal in your back pocket just in case if somebody's on two failed death saves, and they can just instantly bring him back up.
Yo, I got you, fam.
And then it depends on what level you're casting and who's drawing aggro as well. So like,
obviously your tank, if he's like obviously down, because that's going to be your damage soaker. He's going to be soaking up all the damage, or most of the time anyway. If he's proccing or aggroing the main enemy or the main threat, whatever it may be, or it could be multiple enemies. You never know. It's all depending on the current situation at hand.
Also, an interesting thing to think about is, let's say somebody's going to go down on the next turn, but it's your turn, and you have nothing to do with your action. Instead of healing them for that 1d8, that's really not going to help with that 4d6 that's about to come in onto them. Hold your action. And once they go down, heal them. And now they're fine. Now they don't have to throw death saves, and they're already back up. And then you could also use your heals to just reset the death counter, or the death save counter as well. I mean, if they're getting wailed on.
This is true. This is very true. Yeah, because you don't want your teammate to go down with 2 death saving throws if they get hit already when they're unconscious. That just it's a no bueno, because that's another man down in the fight. So just basic. Oh, that brings up another good point, Sinclair, Sophia, is the action economy. Action economy. Maybe we should touch up on that. Bringing that up as well. Paying attention to how many spell slots you have, paying attention to the overall situation at hand, is just being awareness. Or aware of the overall situation at hand. So, for instance, I'll give an example from last session in the Westmarch. So, there was an incident where there was 3 Oni that they had to fight, and there was 5 party members. Now, the Warlock was already drained down at this point during the, 3/4 through the fight. She was already drained down of all her spell slots. Everybody was ran dry. Now, but everybody made an effort as a collective to dwindle down threat by threat. They weren't spreading their numbers amongst different enemies. They had to take one down at a time because of the amount of HP that they had. So they had to come together as a team. So forcing your players to be more aware of the situation at hand and letting them know that mortality is very much a thing for your PCs at this level currently is huge.
Any level.
Yeah, any level.
It
I mean,
doesn't.
unless you're
D&D doesn't get easier until you hit like level 17. Like you don't become basically immortal until you hit like level 17. But then that's when you take a trip to the astral plane and get insta-gibbed. But anyways,
that's when you get your shit pushed in.
it's like it's always a constant battle. You're never going to be stronger than anything around you at any given moment in time until you're basically godhood. So it's good to not power trip or say, "Oh, I'm so overpowered," blah blah blah. Like you do that, you're just asking your DM to side eye you and just throw a fire giant at you.
Oh, you're strong? Oh yeah.
Yeah, about that. My NPC are stronger.
Hold my dice tray, watch this.
Also, something that even I forget about while playing is other actions you can just do. So like most of the time you just think about like spell casting and like disengage and stuff like that. But don't forget you can also like dodge. You just give disadvantage to any attack that's coming your way. So like let's say for example, I was playing as a Grung in Tomb of Annihilation on Wednesday with as a player, the druid. I was swinging on monkey bars, going back and forth, and for whatever reason, it didn't cross my mind to use the dodge action, just in case. I was just sitting there using my bonus action to concentrate on a moonbeam. But it's very easy to forget about other actions that you could do, like, you know, like dash, disengage, dodge, grapple, help. Help is nice. Give advantage to somebody next to you. That's also another thing I could have done. I had a paladin standing next to me, and I could have helped him with his swing, giving him advantage. Ready in action. Use an object, etc., etc.
There's multiple different ways that you can take an action or overall and just to encompass the environment as a whole, like what's around you. Like let's see, for that one shot you had, you were DMing Ogre Maw. I used Bigby's hand. I knew that I was in a cube of like no you, basically, like fuck you, can't touch me, essentially.
Right.
And I knew that my hand couldn't essentially reach you or any of the earth elementals in my range. So what I did was I grabbed like dirt, or I used Bigby's hand to essentially be like, hey, I'm going to use my environment to my advantage. So I grabbed a mound of like rocks and dirt and whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna huck this at this guy. I mean, you're like, I mean, you can most certainly try, which is DM lingo for, yeah, okay, let's see if you can actually do this. And I fucking hit, got him. So be creative with your actions. Don't look at your actions as so one-dimensional. Come out with an idea to make them more alive, essentially. Be creative, think outside the box.
And also don't be afraid to make a build around it. Like I was talking about my Grung. I looked at the spell jump. I was like, huh, triples the user's movements, or whoever you cast it on's jump distance. A Grung has an innate ability to just jump 25 feet, standing still. So I was like, okay, this spell is going to make me busted as fuck, because I can now jump 75 feet, which is disgusting. So I used that to get on top of those monkey bars and just kind of hang there. It's small stuff like that you just like consider how it interacts with your spells, other actions, and other racial abilities, and even feats. You can do some pretty cool stuff. Think outside the box. And remember too, your D&D is your DM in D&D is always, well, hopefully, looking for a rule of cool to use. It's never a bad thing. I've even broken up combat in the middle of like, I was like, hey, fuck the rules. This is just too cool to like let slide by and let the rules of combat like ruin the fun. Like this is just too dope. So I had all the players like pause and have like an RP like anime-esque level fight go down
and I was like, hey, understand that y'all are all like running out of spell slots. You have none left, but fuck it, like make it look cool as fuck. Like go in there and fuck this dude up. I want y'all to succeed.
Yeah, yeah, because I was tapped of spell slots at that point with counter spelling, etc., etc. And I was like, all right, look, I know I'm out of spell slots, but for flavor, can I Misty Step in and then stab? Because I mean, I would make it there, and like I only asked it because I would make it there in that movement. Because like it was already 30 feet, and that's how fast I was running. So
Yep.
it was just for flavor.
100%.
Also, please let your DMs talk if they're describing something. It just pains me when like. All right, you open up a door to this room. What's in there? What do I see? Well, what I was gonna say is you see a carpet on the ground with a bed, and then he describes the room. You know what I mean?
Right. Or you'll have a PC that wants to be like, oh, I heard there's other rooms. I just want to run in there real quick. Before I finish like my sentence describing the room, it could have been a death trap. There could have been a pit. There could have been no floor. I just could have been like, hey, you open a door, and there is a 50-foot drop, and there are tall metal pointy things poking up. Not nice. But no, I was kind. I was very benevolent in my actions, so I let it slide. However, I did make said character make 2 dexterity saving throws, that of which they failed. It took 2 points of shame damage. Yep, you heard correct. 2 points of shame damage. Feel the shame. Take it, embrace it, live it, love it, like it. It's your life now. Shame.
Feel it.
And so you can have fun. You can turn like semi interjecting moments like that into a momentous and kind of funny thing that your character still remembered. And it's always easy to see how you curve a situation. Avoid arguing with your DM as well in the middle of a session. If you have a opinion that you would like stated, please make it after a session. Your DMs all work really hard to make these encounters that you all love and enjoy. So
Yeah,
give them the benefit of a doubt.
A little bit of etiquette goes a long way.
And it's not easy, especially for like a newer DM who's only possibly maybe even played only like 1 or 2 sessions, and they want to take a stab at sitting behind the screen. It's not easy. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you are not, as the players, are not aware of. And so, it may take a minute or two. It does teach you a bit about multitasking. It opens your mind to so many different options creatively. For me, for instance, I have a weird way of doing things. Before a session, I stare at pictures and I describe them to myself, and I write down random words on a piece of paper and see how those words can fit into this picture that I'm looking at the moment. Descriptive imagery, it's in and of itself goes a long way, and players will always want to come back to your sessions because they had such a fun time.
Where's my battle maps at, though?
Fuck your battle maps. You don't get that. Theater of the mind, cuz.
Yeah,
we do not do that here.
I don't know about that one.
We do not do that in my sessions. Everything is in the brain. Exercise your muscle. The piece of gray matter between your ears.
There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot, my friend.
I like to stare into the bathroom mirror, void my stomach of mom spaghetti, and go out and drop bombs.
There you go.
Yeah, see? There. Yeah.
How do I prepare for a session?
I just kind of just go off the whim. Like that last one, the impromptu session, I was like, yeah, just give me like an hour to stare at pictures and write random words down on pieces of paper, and then we got a session. Improv is another good thing. But tell us how you prepare a session.
I don't really know. I just kind of do it. I'm just like, this sounds like fun.
Let's do this. Now, how can I make this an encounter? Is there really
hold on. After listening to about the door and the 50-foot drop example with the 2 deck saves, how do DMs decide how many save throws? Is there a rule or is it just improvised? So it kind of runs around common sense as well. Maybe not necessarily needs to be 2, but like, let's say, I'm trying to think, what would require 2 saves? I usually like to run it on 1, because just, it kind of gets messy if you're like double it up, you know? Because what's the point of rolling 1 if you're just going to fail on the second one?
I can give you a real life example if you want.
Sure.
Okay, so for instance, let's say you're sitting at a park bench, right, and your buddy's trying to pull a prank on you, and he ties your shoelaces together, right?
Okay.
Now you don't know that this is gonna happen. You just
Would beat my passive perception. Yep.
yeah. But let's just let's just assume that you don't notice it at all, and you fail your passive perception. You stand up and you begin walking. Your first step that you make, you're going to probably want to correct your walking or correct your posture so you don't trip and fall on your face.
Okay,
and let's say you fail that one. Yep. And then let's say you fail that one. And then you move with your other foot. And you still don't quite get your footing. Then you fall like face first into the ground.
Well, why wouldn't that just be the first one? Because you already failed. You're going to fall. You already failed it.
Okay, so let me give you the example of what happened in that session. That's probably a bad example for the real life thing. So essentially what happened was that there was 2 slightly disheveled, tiles in the ground that were up. Okay. It wasn't like a full flat surface. So when said PC ran into the room after the door was opened by one of the other PCs, hitting the first stone was a fail after the PC rolled. So that was going to be 1 point of damage. But they didn't fall. And then the second one was when they hit the other mound. And then they fell face first. So like hitting over, I treated it as if it was like 2 steps. So like each step was a dex save.
Well, yeah, that's different. I'm just saying, like in an action of moving forward, you pulling the shoelace, you're already tripping and falling. That's kind of done. But did they willingly take another step forward? I guess
they did.
So I guess the way to break it out, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a fan. For me, I would bundle it up together for brevity, I suppose. It's 2 different DM styles.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, okay, I trip and take 1 point of damage, and then you fall prone. I mean, was there any... Also, another question, was there any reason why he needed to fall prone? Like, was he in combat?
No, this was out of combat.
So
this person was just interrupting me throughout the session, so I was just like, well, wanting to rush into everything that before I was like kind of talking. Yeah, so I didn't really get a chance to speak.
So it didn't mean anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, it was definitely improvised, if that's to answer your question. And there was no 50-foot drop. That was just like an example that I was bringing up. But in terms of 50-foot drop in damage, 1d6 every 10 feet. So
that's 5d6, and then you have to make a dex save, or you're prone on your land.
And then that's not to, that's also taking into consideration the spikes. For that example, you would also take a bit of piercing damage.
And whatever those entail as well.
Yeah. It's just damage that gets added up.
Wear down the players a little bit.
I've also overskilled on encounters before.
Oh, every DM does that. Every DM is different. I could tell that. You said it's common sense, just making sure there's a specific role. I mean, if you look through the DM's guide, there's probably a few examples to help out, like fledgling DMs. But yeah, it's just kind of like you could also do kind of like prank requests as well. So like, let's say I'm trying to push a turntable. All right, PC walks up. Hey, I want to rotate this. Okay. They start rotating. Okay, make a dex save. They go, what? And then they roll it out. DC is low. So like that's part of it too, is like when you set the DC, the check, you could kind of put it in stages as well as like thresholds. So, like, let's take your trip example. So let's say base trip DC 15, you're gonna trip. To fall, maybe it would proc off of what was behind it, or I mean, if you succeed on the first one, it's not gonna happen. But like, it's just depends on how bad you fail. You know what I mean? So like, 10 would be a save, 5 would be trip and fall, 1 would be hurt yourself. I don't know.
You're like, you have an injured.
You're quiet.
You have an injured leg or something.
Yeah. Or you try to flip out of a tree and you break your fucking back. That's what natural. That's what natural ones get you.
Yeah, natural ones. That's basically like handing the mantle off to the DM and be like, "Here, just fuck me up, please.
Please destroy my PC."
Here you go. Here's
And that's something
you get to fuck my PC up for once. Thank you."
So here's an important thing to remember as a player. Just because it sounds cool in your head and you imagine it, doesn't mean you have to do it. You're out of combat. It's not going to add anything. Just climb down the damn tree. Don't try to do a flip, please. Please.
Please.
It's like, they just put it in headcanon as you climb down. They're like, oh, I do a flip out of the tree. Haha. That's also a thing to DMs, though. It's fine to... honestly, Nat 1s are kind of weird. I'm not a big fan of fucking over PCs because of them.
Yeah.
Unless if it's like a ranged attack going into a crowd. Because, like, let's say you have...
Eldritch Blast?
Yeah, like, let's say you're standing there wailing on a ogre, and you have your ranger behind you that makes a Nat 1, and they're right behind you. It's gonna hit the player. Roll damage. Because that's a...
AC PC?
No, if it's a Nat 1, I just make it auto hit.
Oh, auto hit.
Uh-huh. Because you failed that bad. And I don't like to do that too much. It's kind of a once in a while thing. Like, I hate the crit fail. I'm trying to think of what the right word would be. Like the crit fail punishment. Like, oh, your weapon slams into the ground and it breaks. I hate that shit.
That's just not reasonable.
You're quiet.
That's just not reasonable. Even if something like that does happen, like that's really shitty. Because that player probably maybe have worked hard for said equipment or anything like that, you know?
Welcome, Vivo. How you doing today, man? Alright, this mic is not on or something.
Hey guys.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey guys.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Alright, how are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty well.
Pretty good.
Good to hear, good to hear. What have I missed so far?
Just chatting, talking about builds and whatnot, and DCs and stuff.
Proficiencies. All the
Roll proficiencies.
Basically not fucking your players over if they're rolling that one. Was what we were just talking about.
Yeah, the crit fail. Oh, your weapon slams against the ground and it breaks in half. Oh, cool. I'm glad I brought spares.
You know, I've had some pretty interesting crit fails though in some of my campaigns. I know one of them that I've actually had. I ran. They had Shatter Spike, a magical weapon that some might know. It pretty much, you know, it crits on hit. They decided to use it against another magical object, and I was kind of thinking, how do I want to play this out? I was like, okay, because I mean, this thing is going to hit the shield, so it's obviously going to crit upon it. How do I want to play this out? I actually had them roll for the attack on the shield. I had the shield, I set the AC to the shield, what the AC of the character would be. They rolled a nat 1 on it, and I said, okay, this can go one of two ways. I straight up, I wanted to give them the option, but at the same time, I wanted to be theatrical to what was going on. So as soon as the sword hit the shield on that nat 1, I said right then and there, Shatter Spike was no more, and it shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Shattered into a bunch of spikes.
All of their faces were like, what? Like, because they literally had this, you know, OP magical weapon since the first dungeon that they had done, and then it's just out of there.
Yeah. Also a fun
Yeah,
way to nerf your players.
It was an
Oh,
interesting choice.
Another thing is just because you have a +1 sword doesn't necessarily mean that you are God.
Though it does
Yes.
help in certain, just gonna cough Shadowfell when everything is, either resistant to non-silvered or magical weapons.
I can
It
neither
is
confirm
magical.
nor deny these accusations.
I'm just gonna say being a Hexblade with a weapon pact, oh my god, it is so nice. I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm basically toting
That
around
is
a
true.
+1.
Always, and it can be in any shape and form that you want.
I just reforged it into a hammer, dude, because I remembered we're fighting undead, and bludgeoning is probably going to be nice to have.
It's very true. That's something a lot of people forget about, when you take the path the Hexblade. And what is it? The Blade Pact itself. People don't realize you can shape that weapon into anything you want.
Yeah, anything at any time. I can make it a glaive right now if I wanted to.
Everybody forgets that, and that's where it gets to where people lose the sense of like what is actually good about a character sometimes. I feel like characters can be so overwhelming at times, especially once you get to those levels where you start adding in proficiencies, adding into, more subclasses of it.
Thank God it's not 4E, huh?
Oh god,
People just go on to the point to where they actually forget what their character can do, and I've been guilty of it too. There are times I'll just be playing my fighter and I'll be like feeling so OP in what I can do in some things. I'm like, oh shit, I had this one ability that I could have used this entire time and never did.
Action search.
That I
this is
never
amazing.
forget.
No, you never do. That extra 2 attacks, man. If you're level
That
5.
is something that nobody should ever forget.
What about the Warforged guys in Eberron compared to the Warforged in 3rd edition?
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
That is a major flip flop of what it used
I
to
feel
be.
like Warforged, and see, like for me, okay, I mean, most of you that knew or have read and, talked to me in the channel and the server and whatnot, or talked to me personally about, getting Eberron content and everything. The way I look at D&D is, yes, of course, I want everyone to be able to create their own players. I want them to be able to have fun with it. I want them, to have that setting, but at the same time, in a Westmarch setting, where you have so
Oh, you cut out.
roughly around like 100 people signed up for a game. It's very hard to keep that balance because some of those classes are extremely OP if used in the correct way.
Right.
As most of you know, Mike, our admin, he has been working on guidelines and running them through with me to make sure everything is set for you guys to actually have that capability. For those of you that have not checked announcements or in the Westmarch chat, Eberron, Ravnica, and Wildmount are coming. We are just setting guidelines to what the standard will be for them. It's not going to be anything as like a reduction or anything like that, but there are some races, such as the Warforged, that pretty much take out the entire point of survivability in this world.
Now, I have a question for you, Vivo.
Yeah.
In particular, in the Westmarch as is, how do you think allowing this content would affect the world as a whole?
Well, in my personal opinion, I mean, obviously, because Eberron, of course, is its own place. Ravnica is its own place. So, for where this place is set, which is Faerun, but it's in, the multi-layer of, how there's the 9 hells and whatnot.
Right.
The way I look at it, I'm going to work on something to tie it into where these characters actually make sense in being here. Because in my vision of it, it's not a spoiler. Everyone should know by now. Shadowfell is pretty much where you go when you die. I've already had multiple sessions where I've had characters die and people have seen their souls walking around. I've had other NPCs confirm this. This is not a spoiler by any means. This is somewhere written in the giant debrief that our characters have done. And just like, in Afterlife, the way I look at it is the way these books are set is Shadowfell is the afterlife to those that are in Faerun. Or Faerun, however you wish to say it. As to where, Eberron, I feel like it might have its own, and Ravnica, I believe, would have its own. So bringing them together into this central area, not complicated, but it's going to make for an interesting story, I think, and it's going to actually, I think, expand encounters in general, just as for what we will be able to add, not that we haven't been necessarily holding back, but I've also talked to DMs about, like what should and shouldn't be, within this realm. So we could expand this to where it's a little bit more versatile.
So, a question
Right.
for you.
Yeah.
So, my character, Sophia Zumbo, is a spitting on glass, level 6 warlock, almost level 7, access to 4th level spells. One of those being banishment.
Yes.
Where would that take me if I
You'll
casted it
just-
on myself and let it happen?
You would just have to have that happen and see.
Actually, I
I've
feel
actually
with her.
I've been waiting for a character to do something of the sort. That, or I mean, you guys are a little further away from Planar Shift.
Planar shift is.
Yeah,
Just a bit. Just
you guys are a little bit out of there, But I'm waiting for, because Banishment's a fun one, and I think that's going to be bringing up some interesting things. But also in my session tonight, that should be starting in about 45 minutes. For those of you that are listening, you are welcome to spectate that as well. Some interesting things are going to be thrown in to the tavern and around, and it's going to be able to be beneficial to all. It's going to be pretty fun, and it involves around the form of the spell banishment, not necessarily the spell itself, but something similar. So it's going to be beneficial to all of you.
So, if I built a character specifically around mending and banishing people away, and he charged abnormally high fees for this, would it be allowed?
Would it be allowed, man? Okay.
So what I would do is my
It-
price
it-
would be all the gold that they have, all of their magical equipment, and then I will banish them.
God.
Hey, can we have coffee? Drew BMA in chat is asking, can we have coffee in the Shadowfell?
If you had it on you when you arrived, that's all you have on you.
Oof. You heard it.
Shadowfell is a very, you know what, for those that are listening, let me go ahead and I want to break it down, because I know a lot of you have not read the Session Zero, or not really have had that perfect envisioning of what the Shadowfell actually
You could've
is, or
stopped at
what it
having read.
looks like. It's Shadowfell in general is just, it is a dark, dreary place. There is no, if you notice, the encampment of Evernight is all stone. There is no wooden buildings anywhere that you have been. Anything that has been wood is very decayed, torn, and gone. The reason this is because there's no wood in the Shadowfell. All the forests that you're walking through, granted, it's very hard to find different darkened forest maps for you guys to fight in. So those lush, beautiful forests that you see aren't necessarily there. It is a very dark place. There's not a lot of life here. There's not a lot of plant life here. Food outside of the tavern is disgusting. Those that are able to have it transported here by some magical means or anything of the sort, those people are some lucky SOBs, because everything else around is just rot, disgust. I mean, and also keep in mind, you guys are living in a town that's full of, not demons necessarily, what's the word, ghouls, goblins. There was one demon that came through. Some of you have already known that. That is not a spoiler. That was in the debriefs as well. I mean, it's a very dark place. Not meant to make everybody, droopy and sad, because obviously fun sessions come out of it. But it is a different place that has only ever had one actual, not even necessarily module. I would say I would have considered it just a book on Shadowfell. Anybody else agree with that knows the 4E module?
I know the 4E module, yes.
I mean, it's not even necessarily, a set campaign. It's more of pretty much just the lore of what the place is. Now, they did
Well,
have
that's
supplements,
how-
I know.
That's how 4th edition was back then.
Yeah.
4th edition was purely about building upon campaigns currently in lore. And nowadays, when you look at a module in 5th edition, it's a bit more involved in terms of items, what can players do. In 4th edition and previous editions, those kinds of modules and books were meant for DMs. They were not very player friendly. So if you
Right.
didn't have a basic understanding of how the game was played, then you couldn't really utilize those books, because that was just meant to add on to a campaign setting in conjunction with whatever you already had, and what worked with it and what did not work with it.
Yeah.
Another question I had for you, Viva, was the quest line that I recently started with the players, the Demon
Yeah.
Slayer quest line. I showed the players the sun and moon due to illusion magic, and their PC's minds were fucking blown.
Me
Like
included.
they were like,
So
they
I
were
worked
like,
with
what
I
the
worked
fuck?
with Vivo to create Sophia because she's very special in the sense that she's a discount, not really even Raven Knight. I mean, not even close, not even same rank, but she's a Hexblade Warlock that's under the Raven Queen. So I remember him working it through with me. He was like, "What does she know about her past life? Absolutely nothing. All right, good to go." So technically, my character has never seen, the sun or the moon or anything like that. So it was a very big moment for her. And like
Nani? What
and like
is-
other players like Tack, I remember that as well. Poor Sinclair, never got to see it. Also, with that said, I feel like players are too afraid to lose their characters, you know what I mean?
Oh my
And
god.
I feel like that comes down to it really is, people nowadays are too afraid to lose a character, and it's something that I stress um, in the opening notes. If anybody actually takes the time to read them, it is a very, very scary thing to lose a character, especially something that you get really tied to, But with it, yeah, I mean, losing a character it's just that it's losing a character. I know that you can grow, of course, really attached to one, but for most of the people that have been in here, they've, I would say, yes, they've come attached to their characters, but there's two ways to become attached to a character. There's becoming attached to your character actually playing with them, and there's coming attached to your character just in the sense of who they are role playing with them. And I
Yeah.
feel that most of them, because the majority of, what we have to do is because people can't play every single game, is they get attached to them on that emotional side of connecting with other NPCs and PCs in the tavern and around. And they really cling to that. And then, of course, when it comes to a session, they are still, of course, attached to that character, but not in the same sense of, like, I'm playing, like, man, it's hard to explain this.
Well, I get it
'Cause
because
I
it's like two different people, but they're
it
attached.
is.
So it's like they get. So all of a sudden, this unrelated thing that you've been working on months and months in the Tavern RP, you made this awesome character everybody likes. Goes
Right.
out for his one adventure, and then he encounters a Visk tree, and gets killed.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
That's it. I can understand that you're upset about it, which is obviously understandable, but at the same time, try something else. It's not a big deal. It sucks, yes, but at the same time, does it? You're still playing D&D, isn't that the nature of it?
and I mean, if you really want to be, of course, and I'm not gonna, I'm not confirming this, but if you bring it to me, I would honestly consider it. If you were honestly, seriously attached to that character, maybe they had a twin.
Oh, I hate that.
If you were that
Ah.
attached to that character, again, I'm not confirming this. I'm just saying, if you brought it
Star.
to me with the utmostness, I mean, I would consider it, but I mean, it's I mean, it's people grow attached. I understand that, and especially if it's your first character ever, though, and you've been playing with them for a while. I can understand the sense of that loss, to where you're just kind of like, damn, I really
We
wanted
have
to play
a
this character, and
pause
now I
real quick.
can't.
Taco Present says, I am aware that one day my character will perish, and I don't mind that. I got plenty of backup, but I, for a reason, play defensively because I like to survive.
Well, that's just how you play. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's true,
If you play more classes and builds based around defense, then you're gonna shine.
and especially in the Shadowfell.
Devotion
I remember my first session. I started the first session of Shadowfell, and I had a group of 6, and it ended up being just a simple scouting. They didn't really uncover anything magnificent. There was no, big bad boss that came out. They didn't really even learn anything. They were just scouting out the hexes, and they came across the first path was a group of ghouls that they just taken out, and they played that so fearfully, but at the same time they had a wizard that was just continuously buffing himself, giving it, well, oh man, what kind of, I can't remember what wizard it was. He's no longer with us.
Was it Abjuration?
I cannot remember. He constantly would use I can't remember the spells right now that he used.
Shield?
Booming
Sounds like
blade, stuff like
average,
that. He was
Oh.
continuously doing things along those lines,
Maybe
and he
Blade
had his
Singer.
build. Yes, it was a blade set. Yes, and he had it set up so perfectly with his wizard. I couldn't even touch him by that point. All my characters couldn't even hit him, and it was frustrating for me as a DM, of course, but it was helping everybody else out. But I was trying to end up scattering in them, and it got to the point where they all almost used. This was their first session. Keep in mind, they used pretty much all of their spell slots. Wanted to take a short rest, used most of their hit die, and then they came across the last hex, which I had already prepped for them, and it was 3 whites and 4 skeletal ogres.
Oof.
That's death.
It
That's
almost
just
was. And they
fancy.
played it smart defensively. They all walked into the graveyard that was there, and it wasn't like an immediate, surprise attack or anything. The skeletal bones of the ogres were still on the side, so they had to pile up. It wasn't a surprise round by any means. And the white even, made itself known, and it came out saying, something is here. And
like that?
three of them end up popping out, of course, and everybody's like, "Oh shit!" Of course, I think I had 3 people that were new to D&D and weren't even sure what they were. Everyone else was like,
On the butt
"Fuck!" And then, of course, I held it off to where they could fight them for as long as they could. I think I did it for 1 round, and then the skeletal ogres rose. And then after that, everybody was like, "Shit, we gotta go." And 2 people were like, "No, we can do this," and everybody was like, "You
Oh,
don't
okay.
understand."
Gotta run. Once one
And that
person
was-
leaves, y'all gotta leave.
I pretty much set the bar for what Shadowfell was supposed to be that night, and everybody remembered it.
There was a particular random encounter. I know I messaged Mike this. Let's just say the character I rolled on the random encounter table, and the characters encountered the shadow dragon, and let's just say
I don't like this. I'm a player.
let's just say it was a memorable experience. No one died from that. However, that was a session with Drew BMA. He was there, aka Rilbert. He is part of the TPK crew. Can we all get an F in chat, please? F in chat.
Back to the character death thing. Part of the reason why I did go to Sophia is just to show people to not be afraid to lose your character. Because, he was... In RP, he was a very well-known character at that point. And then it's like... I just killed him on a whim. So, he was kind of freaking out because I was having it, so Sophia was, calling to him or whatever. That's what the whole purple necrotic energy thing was. And then just on a whim, nobody was around him, so he went for a stroll. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to kill him. And then the day after, I just went, you know what? Yeah, let's see what happens.
And I feel like, when I ever have a character death, depending on if it's a campaign or Westmarch, I just recently, for those that don't know, Thane is a very close character to me, very personal. I've actually played him in another Westmarch, and he actually just recently died. So that was a huge hit to me, but of course, accepted it, and I immediately had my second character ready to roll, who he'll show up in the Shadowfell soon enough. I like incorporating my own personal characters as NPCs, but Thane was someone, literally what Thane is in this Westmarch for you guys, he was in the other Westmarch, but of course, he wasn't, like a big headhunter Raven Knight for the Raven Queen. Of course, he was working his way up still. I think I'd only actually got him to level 8. Yeah, we were at level 8, and he ended up passing. It was pretty much a red dragon who was known as the Mountain Dweller, ended up getting a homebrewed item, which pretty much let him control all the undead. And
Jesus.
he ended up having an acid breath. And it was just over... It was our 1-year anniversary in the server. And our DM says... I'm going to need dexterity checks from everybody. And now, for most of you that do know, or who are in that server, or know Billy from our server, it's called the Iridos campaign, or Iridos Westmarch. And now it is called the Erudition Collapsed, because the entire world that we had built through these hexes is just gone. And Thane had a terrible dex save. He was chilling in the... Yeah, he was chilling in the keep that I had built that took 8 months to finally build, and it just washed it all away. we only had about a handful of about 5 players that decided to go to the Underdark, and they actually survived. So, believe me when I know character deaths can be very, very rough, because Thane was someone who I've been playing for almost an entire year, and just wiped away. But not even something that I can control, not even an encounter, not anything of that. It was literally a personal message from the DM saying, this is what went down.
You know,
Yeah.
I can't wait for Sophia to act, like, for me to play as Sophia as she talks to Thane. That'll be interesting. Because I know she serves him, but I haven't talked to him technically yet.
Thane is going to be something fun for all the warlocks, especially now after what has happened.
Right. Now, this is like some of the things like I can't understand because I've never actually been a PC. Like I've always ever just been a DM because none of my friends ever wanted to read the books. So they were just like, hey, we're just going to read the books, read these, and we want to play. I'm like, but I want to play too. Well, that sucks. We want to play more. I'm like, all right, so whatever. And that's kind of like how, in the short of the long of it, was how I started DMing. As for my first session on the Westmarch, let's just say Sinclair here was my first player in the Westmarch. I was kind of skeptical at first. I didn't know. I've never actually just been, accustomed to following rules back to back like that, like another set of rules. Definitely a learning curve in and of itself. But first encounter was, I believe, Crumbles McApplemeyer.
It was, yeah.
Crumbles McApplemeyer, the old vampire guy.
That man had a very high AC.
Yeah, he did.
High AC, and it felt like around 50-ish HP, I want to say. 50 to 60, maybe 80.
Come look into my copper pot and you will see. Come, the adventure. And as the PC walks over, he takes a glance, made him roll a perception check, and at the bottom of the copper pot, he could see disembodied adventure parts inside of this apple stew. And he was like, "Woo!" Roll for initiative.
That's always a good way to kick it off, though.
And then Sinclair, this is when I was introduced to Polar Mastery. Sinclair goes,
and Sentinel.
Is he at least 10 feet away from me? And he's moving? Yes. I stab him.
How?
What?
Yeah, I ran Polearm Sentinel on Sinclair. It for the most part, every DM had a problem with it. I would say Brian would be the only one that didn't have an issue with it. And I didn't had to explain it or whatever. Because it's like, wait, how are you making a weapon attack on your bonus action? Oh, Polearm Mastery. How are you attacking something that's entering your range? Polearm Mastery. How are you attacking something that's attacking your ally? Sentinel. Why are they locked down to 0 move again? Sentinel. It's like... And then I was walking around with a glaive, just being an absolute ass.
It's rude.
It is. It's rude, but I wouldn't say it's broken because I still have to hit.
Yes. It's not auto hit. Thank the gods.
Though I do want to build. I do want to build a. I want to build a Bear Totem Barbarian that just goes straight into health. And just have him wade into everything.
Well, I remember seeing it was some type of barbarian. I don't remember what the build was. On a YouTube channel I saw, and it was a way to overall get almost 300 HP, and I was like, that can't be real. And he was taking the time, and he was taking the time to break it down, and I was like, holy shit, that can actually work.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a druid multi with a barbarian?
I don't remember if it was a druid. I'm gonna have to try to remember what that was.
Because I think I think I've watched it too. Because your rage transfers into your wild shape. So what you do is you wild shape into something with a thick ass
AC.
HP pool, and then you have an effective double whatever that is. So like my Bear Totem Barbarian that I made for that one shot they were talking about. I didn't play him, but I just used him as an example. I called him Meat. He 12th level mountain dwarf. He has 185 HP, and when he's in rage, that doubles, essentially, because he has resistance to everything. So So I'll get all calculators out, boys. That's effectively 370 HP.
Oh gosh.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross.
That's pretty nasty, dude.
The third shoulder.
Man.
That's swashbuckler during the one shot though against Overmont. Oh my god.
Swashbucklers
That
are a
shit-
lot of fun.
So
Jesus.
a viewer just said Hill Dwarf Bard with tough feet and 23 con, 325 HP. Yep.
Whew.
Yep.
AKA Big Sexy.
You know, I feel like people sometimes prepare for max level too much. They don't consider level to level.
And that's what gets a little hard, and especially with people that are new to the game and they're coming in to the Westmarch starting at such a high level. I say high, really not, but to those that kind of is
Well,
because
you're
know,
at the first
you're-
major power spike.
yeah, exactly. And people are kind of they look at it like, oh wow, I actually
I
did all
am
this now
unstoppable.
already.
Like, hold your horses, Slick.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna teach you a little thing or two about mortality. Put your name down in my session. Let's find out how tough your character is, Slick.
Well, and the thing is like, I feel like at that point people are like, they don't really consider what happens after you hit level 5. Like, you're starting to get into the big boy stuff in your class.
And that also means the big boy stuff is coming out on the DM screen though as well.
So people go, "Oh, I want a multi-class." Why? You're a caster. You're already 5 levels deep. Just keep going, man. You're gonna start getting upcasts and stronger spells and other
I
stuff
feel
like
like
that.
unless you have a personal reason as to like I know most people, I know me personally, 5 levels in fighter if I can, if I'm planning to multi-class into anything else, just for the fact you get the second attack.
Just 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it would take. It's 5, and then after that, I
Even
would
that's a heavy
put it all-
multi.
It is, but at the same time, just to get that second attack for whatever you're doing is very, very nice. Because I actually played an Out of the Abyss campaign where I, of course, played Dritz Erden. Very close
Oh my God.
book of mine. I love Ari Salvatore. Shout out to him. Recommend all of his reads. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by any means.
Yeah, by anything. But I am just a huge fan of Dritz Erden. I've read all of his books, both audio and read them personally. I own them all. What people don't realize about Dritz, though, is he is not by any means a ranger to start.
No.
He is a fighter, and nobody realizes that because he has only ever been labeled as a ranger. And in the books, it doesn't even happen until the first 3 books that ever came out. They pretty much pulled a Star Wars, literally. It was the story of the Crystal Shard came out. It was a 3-book series. And then they pretty much did the prequels, which told about his backstory. But R.A. Salvatore, I had found out, already had these books pre-written, but didn't think that they would do well because it was all based in the Underdark, and that wasn't popular during that time. So he
Definitely
released where Dritz went to the open world of... wow, I can't think of the North right now, y'all. It's blanking. 10 towns. Yeah. So he, pushes everybody up there, getting everybody in that range, and everybody actually learned that he was only a ranger because he learned through a blind man who was a ranger named Montolio. And that is how he got the ranger image. But for the first, I want to say it was 60 years of his life, I think maybe 70, he was actually a fighter. He went to a school in Menzoberranzan to be a fighter and ended up being first in his class and the best fighter out of all of the Drow. And people don't realize that. So, of course, when I take him for that multi-class, I did the first 5 levels in fighter, and I actually had a ranger in my party. So it made sense mechanically that I was learning from a ranger and dipped into it. So it, mechanically wise, worked out as well. It was pretty cool.
To be completely honest, like Drizdo Erden series is just a very, very long backstory. Like,
It is. I'm not gonna lie, but man, is it a damn good one.
it's really good. It's really good. Also, if you read the Drizdo Erden series by R.A. Salvatore, I have another good read here in front of me called the World Wound Gambit by Robin D. Law. It's a Pathfinder. really good. It's
that one
it's
out.
just a one novel, but it's really interesting. Character development is roughly the same, not nowhere near as as in depth as Drizzt is, but
Yeah.
it has a few books that are taking the perspective of different PCs, for example, and they all have a very unique story, and I love reading them because it gives you so much more opportunity to expand upon what exactly you are, like what as a DM you actually want your players to see. And I'm huge on like gathering different words and stuff like that. I don't know, it's weird. I have like a weird fetish for that kind of stuff. But I love like looking at words and seeing how I can like actually imagine that in the back of my head. Exercising your brain is key in D&D.
That is for sure.
Different DM styles are always interesting to hear about, honestly. What about you, Vivo? How do you DM?
As in what regard?
Okay.
Like,
I'm trying to think of like, let's start with a general principle. How would you describe a group of adventurers walking up to a goblin camp?
me personally, depending on to me, it boils down to the group, and that's honestly where my love for the game, really kicks in. Like, I've had campaigns where, like, I'll go all out. I'll give them the full description, what's around them, the surrounding area, what they're about to walk into, a goblin encampment, like the goblins they look like that are coming out, and they're probably trying to stop them from entering into their encampment. And then I'll have a party just kind of be like, oh, okay. Like, not even try to role play it off or anything of the sort. Not even in an in-person one. Then I don't really do those that much anymore. But when I did, I've had people where I'm just kind of like, I don't want to be y'all's DM anymore. Like, I'm I'm not having fun with you guys. But apparently they were having a lot of fun with me because obviously, I'm giving them all this cool detail, but I got nothing in return from them.
Now, with
And
that,
that's kind of a two-way street with all DMs and players. It's very hard to make a DM want to keep going
right?
when our whole goal is not to kill you, it's to make sure you're having a fun
It's
game.
to tell a fun
And, like,
story, yeah.
exactly. And if you're not
Yep.
showing any interest in it, why do I care to continue? Especially when I'm taking the time
Yeah.
with all of this work I'm doing and the backstories and making sure your characters play into this and even simple descriptors that you're not even showing me. Oh, you show some interest. And I know it's a little harder via, voice chat, but even then, I mean, you can really tell the difference between a player who's just kind of like out of character role playing everything and then someone who's actually in character role playing what's going to happen and what they see and what they're interested in. And that's where it comes down to me how I DM for people.
Hey Taco, it was fun. Taco the president says, well, it was fun listening, but I got stuff to do and then I gotta join a session tonight. Take care, everyone. Likewise, Taco, thank you for
See
stopping
you,
by
man.
the stream.
Have a good one, Taco.
Yeah, something that I've been practicing a lot more is... So, the reason why I actually joined the Westmarch was to attempt to improve my DMing, just to see how other people would do it, because I have very little experience in D&D. I've been playing for less than or a little over a year, and I thought to myself, joining Westmarch and playing with a bunch of random DMs and a bunch of random players would open up my mind of different things that I didn't think about. Because, like, yes, I'm playing a fighter with a big fuck-off two-handed greatsword. I'm going to run in and I'm just going to swing every turn. Or should I? Maybe there's a better way to approach it. I remember one of my more earlier sessions I was playing with, at the time, it was Adric, I think. Yeah, it was Adric. He kind of opened up my eyes to a more diplomatic solution before we even actually get into the fight. How that would actually be better than... I mean, I guess the best way to call it is murder hoboing, but... Is it really? Because, like, we walked up to a room that was full of vampires. So it's... Instantly your brain goes, okay, vampires, I know that they're evil. As a DM, I know that they're naturally evil. I don't remember on the premise of lawful evil. Okay. So, I know that they're evil, and I know they're probably going to act aggressive. But Adric said, hey, how's it going? And it turns out that they were just mindless puppets standing there. And I would have... if I were to be the one leading, I would have engaged in an encounter against 4 vampires that were actually the thralls, or no, students, sorry, of the person we were there to meet.
And that could have been very bad for you.
Yeah. So it's, and then playing with like Visk, which was my original point, playing with Visk has shown me that adding just that, like I already did it, but not enough. Adding that little extra description, just a little touch, that extra 20 minutes to your whatever you're doing, can really amplify your RP and the situation and whatnot. And I've been doing that in the RP chat as well, just in the server. So like, my character walks down the stairs, she sits at a table, she fiddles with her cloak, pulling out a raven feather and examining it. You could say so much by saying nothing.
And that's true. I mean,
it
it's that
adds-
same instance.
One sec, guys. We have Egni Rikes, I-39 bio. What's up? How are you? I watched your Tavern Talks channel. Thank you. Nice stream, Tavern Talks. Welcome to the Tavern. Very good. I love this. I'm about to create custom emotes and sub badges for your stream. Cool.
Sweet,
Have a-
appreciate it, man.
Have a look. The link on my account banner. Regards, Dungeons and Dragons Forever. Likewise, dude. D&D is life.
It is. It's a good way to get out and meet people.
And thank you for stopping by the stream. Much appreciated.
And that's something that a lot of people don't really know. I had always had this server on a back burner, and of course it was way smaller than this, not even people-wise, just channel-wise and like what I wanted to do. And my whole goal is, I'd been joining off and on all these servers, and a lot of them, just kind of feel to that point to where you just are. There's servers where you're just looking for groups, and just talking to people about D&D. And I was like, I like that idea, but a lot of the ones I joined, I was kind of like, I don't like how you're doing it. And that is no offense to them at all, but it was just my personal take. Like, I was like, I have no reason that I want to stay here. Like, once I find a group, obviously the game won't be held here. I'm never going to talk to probably half of you again until I need another group or something. Like, there was nothing that made me want to stay in that group and talk D&D, especially a bunch of new people and people that were just kind of like, and that's they didn't even have like a D&D. They had just the general, and I was kind of like, okay, so just anything flies, cool. And then I came to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm making my server, I'm doing it. And I got Mike to help me out, and I was thinking about what would keep people to want to stay in a server, make it fun, bring everybody in, and want to collaborate together. And I was kind of, picking and pulling, thinking of like other servers I'd been in and seen, and I was like, what's something I love to do? I love to DM. I was like, what's something that Billy has introduced me to? Westmarches. I was like, I'm gonna make a giant Westmarch server.
And 1,000 people.
Yeah.
1,000 plus.
And it literally took, I'm not joking, guys. For those of you that don't know, this server is not that old. This server started the week of Thanksgiving in America. That is November of this last year.
Yeah, I remember joining, and I remember like looking at the D&D Beyond page, and it seemed like it was very new. But when I joined it it felt big.
It grew exponentially. I want to say within the first 3 months, we had at least 500 people already, and I was blown away by that. And then I started having people, of course, boost the server. And then I took the time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take the time to go ahead and, boost the server myself. And I boosted it more than what most people do. I've done it like 4 times, I think.
I've boosted.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for that, because that not only shows me that you guys are enjoying what is being brought to the table here, but also you guys are helping to improve it for everybody else. The bandwidth, the fun emotes that I can have you guys post. I think the emotes was everybody's favorite once we started getting that. But of course, there's the bandwidth of all of that. We have, a cool little tag at the top, the crit happens. If we hit that 3rd level, we get the vanity URL, and that we can start sending her around.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So that's really what I'm hoping for, and we're actually really close. I want to say we're at 23 out of 30 boosts to get that level 3.
Getting close.
Yeah, we're getting really close, and I mean, this has been something that's just taken off in a way that I couldn't even begin to imagine. Like I hear, Critical Role, and I listen to other people like that who are like, this just blew up. This blew up for me. I was like, wow. I started looking for more DMs. I needed more moderators. It became, a legit hobby as opposed to just being a DM. And it's just something I'm very thankful for, and I thank all of you for being here for it. And I hope it's giving you what you guys actually want, a place to just a role play. As you saw, we opened the open world role play. I think it was around December I opened it,
something like
maybe around
that.
there.
It was January, I believe, was when it started.
Yeah, it was right around there. We decided to open that up just to let people have fun role playing, fighting, do whatever they want. And then of course, we have the Westmarch, which is my bread and butter, something that I've been working on for a long time and putting together and making sure the lore was all there. And I hope you guys are all enjoying that. That is my biggest thing.
As a player's point of view, it's fantastic.
I know
the amount of work that I could see just by in the Discord itself, all the various channels, groups, etc., etc. It's really cool to see just everybody getting together and just being a different character on the server is really interesting.
I'm glad.
It challenges me too. Like on this server, it really does challenge me. For every Westmarch session that I have, I try to make it better than the last one.
And as a player, you have.
Thank you.
No problem. That's a 12d6 poison damage.
And but from Vis knows, as a DM, he sees a lot more of the channels than you guys, and of course, he's in our Westmarch channel for DMs, and he's seen the lore and everything that I put in there, and I'm trying to make sure every DM facilitates it accordingly, and of course I have things still come through me. Some things might get misread, so please understand if something just gets kind of misinterpreted. We'll fix it and make sure it's right. I mean,
you, me, and myself, we created the Westmarch DM debrief because we noticed that there was a lot of mix-up in explaining between sessions. Like,
correct.
And then it revolves around
we didn't
the
have an
players.
idea about like what happened like in a session prior, because it happened right when I took my players to Bach Castle. I had no idea about that area.
That was a fun session.
Asking, yeah, and I was like, well, we need something. We need to make something so us as the DMs can like actually coordinate and communicate better. Even if we don't have the time to talk to each other, let's give each other our synopsis of what did happen, so we don't have to wait for you to get online and ask you.
Yeah.
And me and Yumi were like, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do it. And then we got on Hexographer, started noting different locations. Like, okay, so we know this is this DM spot that he created. We're gonna notify this on the map. Okay. All right, what did you get? What loot was had? All right, we need to clarify this in detail. And then I noticed that we were having a shortage of DMs, so in a last minute attempt, I attempted to create the rotational Westmarch DM, and so far it's been going pretty well. We've had some of the players that are able to play now, and still some of the they're learning how to DM. Some are new, and some are taking a stab at sitting behind the screen now. So it's also a learning experience. It's giving us, the Westmarch DMs, a bit of a breathing room as well, to get a bit more time to prepare for the official sessions. But everyone is still having fun, and that's the key that we try to uphold here on the Westmarch server.
Definitely.
And I gotta say, the difference. So I've been in for about a month or two, and I gotta say the difference between from when I started till now is night and day. The amount of effort that you guys have put in like clarifying and unifying storylines and et cetera, has definitely gone noticed. It's nice that I can go into a session and I hear a DM go, "Wait, what do you mean by that?" Or what is that supposed to mean?
That's what we strive for. I'm glad to know that. I'm glad we see it from your guys' end now.
Because when a player has to describe to the DM what the story is, I mean, granted, it's in a way, like, let's say it's the same group every week. That's good because then the player knows what's going on. But that's bad considering the nature of Westmarch and how every DM needs to communicate with one another to continue this compounded story that just between what is the amount of DMs right now? Let's just lowball it and go 7. Seven different DMs have to make a story that makes sense. Just that's nuts. I could barely make a story work.
And that's honestly something I haven't necessarily seen and other servers or games even is a a Westmarch campaign size that we have being split across multiple DMs, trying to keep it all cohesive and together and like make sure the story is there. It's not just this is some random crap, that's some random crap, that's random crap. It's all ending up tying together.
Yeah, the server's really exploded, and really hoping to see how it turns out in the future as well. I think it's going to be a very interesting journey. The server will take.
It's just I haven't seen any other server do something to this thing. I could be wrong. If anybody knows of any, please shout them out. I mean, it is something that takes time, and it takes a group of DMs to actually be on the same page and understanding and making sure that we're all doing it correctly.
Yeah.
It is definitely not an easy task.
Props to all you mods and owners and admins and all that, all the DMs, just for what it could be, like the potential of it, of how shit it could be, and the fact that it's not, and the fact that everybody just gets along for, I mean, the most part. Obviously there's some scuffles here and there, but like the fact that it works and everybody's just kind of cool with it, and I feel like too there's a lot of bullshit that kind of gets caught before it is hit to like the main tavern lines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I could tell that
we do our best to try.
I could tell that
Yeah,
the
for the most part.
mods admin and owner, you guys definitely vet a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Which is nice to see.
We do our best to try to catch it.
And you do
Hashtag
pretty damn well.
Masters.
Though there are some times when it leaks through and it gets pretty awkward. I remember one in particular that was actually kind of funny, but at the same time it was pretty bad. There is this dwarf that went in the middle of the tavern and pulled out a war gong, and it was like like 3 a.m. CST, and I kind of scale that as to like the atmosphere of the tavern. So in the dawn of the morning, this dwarf was slamming on a war gong. And, like, at one point he flicked poop at a PC or something like that, and that's when I was just kind of like, okay. Because, like, I get ridiculousness, but when you're starting... Like, I hate it when other players alter another PC's state without, like, an agreement. Like, that just kills me. And he's, like, messing with people, other PCs are starting to react, and they're pulling weapons and etc. And it's like, no, there's a no fight rule for a reason, and it's like... As one player to like other players, I'm just kind of like, okay, guys, let's just tone it down. Let's not fight. And like my character and spread your butter's character, Sophia, like I said before, killed her father, which was a very large figure in the tavern. So of course, people aren't going to react too nicely when she walks in and is like, hey, yeah, I killed him. And she has a nonchalant attitude. So his character, being who he is, wanted to attack mine. Which he did, but you don't have to actually hit each other. You can just dismiss the combat. You can do defensive things, kind of like we're not going to fight. Like my character is just blocking and sidestepping, and you don't actually have to hit. You don't have to make a huge scene out of it. And I feel like some players don't really get that through RP, and it's just
it is something. But people who and I hate saying it as an owner to the server, but there are those people that want to just cause trouble. And we've literally had a few of them that we have had to ban. It's just there's no way around it. They are just looking for someone to antagonize and of course they roll it off to, well, my character would do this. And I'm like, but you are your character. You can only take that so far before it's just like it's you know. And that's also along the lines of something to express to everybody. You choose your character. It's not necessarily... I don't believe in the whole, well, it's what my character would do thing. I don't.
I don't either.
It is what you would do through your character.
Yeah, your character is a filter of your actions.
It's... for those that don't know, I am a psychologist. I won't specify anything or anything, but I'm a psychologist, and I'm currently working on my doctorate. And I'm actually writing a paper based on D&D players.
Oh boy!
And I'm making it based on multiple personalities, not in the sense of a disorder, but in the sense of, male characters that play females, females that play males, the way they interpret these characters, why would they do this? Why would they do this? Because in a whole sense, even in a video game, and that's what people don't understand, you're literally doing character creation, and you are controlling the character. I think the best example that I can always give, and that most people get, is Mass Effect. You create your character, Shepard, and throughout the game, you make good or bad decisions. This is the equivalent to what you're doing in D&D. And it's not, Shepard making these decisions, it's you. So, like, for those that come into the tavern and want to just wreak havoc and say, oh, my character would do this, no. You've read the tavern rules, you know what is allowed here. You would think your character would at least, and I mean character by you, know not to do that here.
Yeah. And
Right.
to touch on your point as a player playing through different sects and all that stuff, my first character, Sinclair, was essentially me, but not as chaotic as I normally am, and a little bit more wholesome, or a lot a bit more wholesome. And then I shifted into Sophia, who is, I don't want to give away any backstory, but she's childish in a sense, and then she's also cold. But she's nice to the people that are nice to her. And I still try to play her like it's me, because I'm using her as a filter.
Right.
And I don't,
Right.
and I try to disconnect from like gender association with like that kind of stuff, because I feel like if you try to do too many girly or guy things, I feel like you're losing what it means to really RP, because people are people. It doesn't matter. You got to stop looking at it like as a guy or a girl. You just got to look at it as like a person,
Definitely. I agree. Also, guys, I'm going to have to roll out. I've got a session starting right now with a group of adventurers.
All right, don't
All right,
TPK him.
No
Alright,
promises.
Tavern talks, guys. Thank you, Vika.
All right, see you, Vivo. Have a good night, man. Nice
Bye,
meeting
guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man.
you. Creative War said, when I make a character, I don't have any issues making a terrible person. No issues doing the things that I would never do in life. Don't know what that says about me. What that tells me is you're playing a character in a fantasy game, and you want to see what would happen if you did play a asshole. Now,
Without repercussions.
that's fine, but you just can't overdo it, because like everybody still has their own limits. You got to identify those limits, and you got to play by them. Playing an evil character when you're a good person doesn't mean anything bad. That doesn't mean you have some psychology issue or anything like that. It means you're playing D&D and you're role-playing. So do it. Play evil, but play it right. Don't walk into a tavern with a greatsword and just start swinging because I'm evil. No, you gotta have...
I am the malevolent being.
Yeah, you gotta be your person. You gotta make an image and then you play it. See,
Identify?
My way of creating a character is weird, because like I make the build first, and then I make the character around the build, which is weird. But I know you're supposed to do it the other way, but I don't give a shit.
So you're like, wait, man, it's your character. Do what you want to do.
Yeah,
Have fun.
yeah, because like I feel like I can improv a character easily enough that making that personality really isn't that big of a deal. Like, how would a Hexblade Warlock act? That's really into the Raven Queen.
Every time I hear Hexblade Warlock, I just think of like someone carrying around a 6-sided die and like throwing it at people and casting spells.
Yeah, that's my spellcasting focus. Yeah.
Here, take my hex. Take my bag of goodies and take them with you now, please.
Butter was talking about my the time when I aggravated Heswin. My character called him a coward.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's why we fought.
Oh no.
It was great though. I loved the moment that him and I had together. That his PC stopped being an ass to mine, even though mine started it. He was talking about being a necromancer, so that's why my character called him a coward. Because it's
man.
like why are you dealing with these problems with the undead when you could just do it yourself? So that's why it provoked the coward call.
Right.
So then later, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna totally fuck with Heswin. I didn't play a
Nani?
session yet, so I looked through all my spells and I'm like, oh, I can use remove curse. And he was starting to RP that his character was cursed, so I'm like, I was like, hey, Hessman, come outside for a second. He comes outside. I don't say a damn word. I just put my hand on him and I cast Remove Curse, and I was just like, go serve the Raven Queen now. And I walked away.
Damn.
Yep, it was cold, and it was great. Strutted away. It's like, yeah. Don't fuck with me.
I shall remove the curse that is encumbering you. Today.
You
did
did
it too early, darn it. We are malevolent creatures. Another thing is like when a DM creates an encounter, keep in mind, monsters are as strong as they want them to be.
Mm-hmm. And that could change right as the fight starts.
And just because you roll a crit, success or not, doesn't always mean the thing that you think it's gonna mean. If your DM's
Oh, you're
crafty
talking about
enough-
skill checks?
Yeah, if your DM's crafty enough, if he's as crafty as you hope that he is not, then you are what we call a fucked.
Like, let's just talk about impossible DCs for a minute. I want to seduce the dragon with my plus 14 to persuasion. All right, go ahead and try it. Rolls a nat rolls a nat 20. That does not mean you succeeded. That means you rolled a 20, and now you add your 14, which is a 34. I, as a DM, know your fucking stats, and I set it at 40. Guess what? You don't seduce the dragon even with your nat 20 and plus 14. Just because you get a nat 20 on a skill check doesn't mean you're gonna succeed.
No. And I hate it when people say it's a nat 20 for like cool. It's you hit the maximum sided die on that die.
Now if it's a save or an attack, say nat 20 because it doesn't matter.
That's different.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I rolled a 20, a 28. No, I'm gonna say I rolled a nat 20 because that's a fucking crit. I'd be like, nat 20. I was like, natural 20. Fuck yeah. That's a good feeling.
All right. It is a really good feeling. There's very little things that can top that feeling. Once, like, every time I hear y'all, like, in a session, and I see y'all rolling die, like, oh, man, like a 16 or a 17, then there's that moment when it's your time to shine.
Oh, it feels good.
The deafening blow that is heard across the battlefield. Natural 20. Crits.
Crits
People
are awesome.
go wild.
Mm-hmm.
People go wild.
Yep.
It's like, eat that shit.
Yeah, when you get that 5% chance, you're like, it's actually giving me the chills. You're like, yeah. You're like, fuck yeah. I got a fucking natural 20. And you best fucking believe I did. Because when you roll out that fucking damage, everybody's just staring at what it's going to be. You're like, yeah, fuck that monster. When Tack was... Man, when Tack was rolling hot against those Onis, though, dude, ooh, that felt good as a player.
Disgusting. In a last-ditch attempt, I cast Cone of Cold. Like, what?
That was the first time. The second one, I was like, here we go, boys, no counterspell, because, like I said earlier, why is the Warlock the one that's counterspelling?
No, the first one was the one that failed. You counterspelled the first one. The second one was when both Onis were dead. And
yeah,
the third one was
that's what I was saying, yeah.
Oh, okay.
First one was a success, second one I didn't have it.
Hey, Julie, how much HP you got? 1.
And the thing about Cone of Cold is it's an insta-kill if you get dropped to 0.
Well, I've read 2 different definitions on it. One says that, and then the other one does not. And the one on Roll20 does not say at 0 HP that PC dies.
Alright, boys, let's look at Roll20. Or D&D Beyond, sorry. Cone of Cold. What a dastardly spell. Okay. Blast of cold air and erupts from your hands. Each creature in a 60-foot cone. Holy shit. Must make a Constitution saving throw. Creature takes 8d8 cold damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. A creature killed by the spell becomes a frozen statue until it thaws.
Yep. Killed. Not unconscious.
True. You have to thaw him first, though, within a minute. Or hold on. I wonder if there's actually like a... Yeah, I don't know how that works. Yeah, how exactly does frozen salad work?
condition.
Oh, okay. I get it. Alright, yeah, no, I'm dumb. I didn't read. Alright, boys, this is lesson number 1 of D&D. Fucking read. When you're killed by the spell, you're frozen solid. When you're damaged to 0, you're not killed. You're just knocked down, and you're extra cold.
You have hypothermia.
See, I would have known this if I looked at the spell. You're not instantly dead, so I'm an idiot.
Idiot.
Now, if we look at disintegration,
Alright, that's different.
that's different.
That's a bit different. Let me just melt you down there.
Let's play how shitty can I spell. We're gonna pull disintegration. Alright.
Disintegration. Cone of cold is also great when you pour flavored syrup on it. I would not know.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know if I'll find it.
Flavors.
Disintegration ray,
Flavors.
I think is what it's called. No, beholder.
Big nasty things with 10 eyes.
Oh, look at this thing.
Action.
Fun fact about beholders. They all look different. And they all think they look the best.
Yep.
Let's see here. Disintegration ray. Where are you? Right here. If this damage reduces a creature to 0 hit points, its body becomes a pile of fine-grade dust. No revivify. No revivify. Also, why the fuck does nobody carry around a diamond so they can revive people? Heswin, you better carry revivify and a fucking diamond, or I will smack you. I mean it. I mean it.
Heswin's in my session tomorrow.
As a cleric, carry around revivify, especially in Visk's session, because he's an asshole. No,
Well,
no,
hold
no
on
offense.
now.
No offense. No offense. You just throw strong stuff. How much is the cost? 300 gold per diamond. When I say you're an asshole, I mean you're nasty. You're a nasty feller.
You're gonna be sweating.
Mm-hmm. I sweat. Man, I don't want to fight a beholder.
I'm bright like a diamond.
Nice part about being a DM, you don't have to like cringe every time you go into combat, and all of a sudden all the monsters roll out.
Coughs and Visk tree. That's what you get. If
For
you are
Westmarch,
weak of mind.
for Westmarch, do I want to spend 300 gold on some random that could just roll? Okay, that's kind of a shit way to think, but I guess not. I mean, it comes down to your personal preference. But like, let's take the group that I went with, for example. I've been RPing with these people for a while, and my character knows and likes them. I would carry around Revivify. They're my friend. I don't want them to die. Also depends on your character. I mean, if you're neutral and you don't give a shit, then yeah, don't do it. But like, if you're gonna be good, probably you're gonna want to Revivify if you want to play your character right.
Just a wee bit.
Just that rando is somebody you've been living with.
All right, guys, let's you want to take a 5-minute break there, Sinclair?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Have fun.
We're gonna try to come back with a drinking game. You up for a drinking game, Sinclair?
My coffee cup's empty. I got alcohol to the left of me on the floor.
Sounds like we're gonna do a bit of a drink and then
We're looking at Bailey's, the original Irish cream. Freshly laid on its side on the floor that I kicked over today.
vintage on its side. Is that all you got is Bailey's? You got
I got other stuff. Hold on, I'll go check.
I mean, if I just want to drink creamer, might as well just do that then. All right, guys. Well, he's away trying to go do that. Is there any questions or that anybody has in the chat currently?
I mean, I've got brandy and rum. That'd be about it. tasty, tasty brandy and rum. I'll just make a mixed drink with all three and just want to hate myself forever.
That sounds amazing.
Doesn't it?
Please. No. Baba Yaga come in the night.
Make you come in the nighttime.
I might need to borrow the 300 gold. Borrow, meaning you will pay this person back? That is quite a hefty sum, dear adventurer. What, pray tell, do you wish to spend? Diamonds, you say?
Also, I want a side note to you, Heswin. You're a cleric. You could have removed that curse at any point.
Heswin is going to get the clapping of the cheeks.
The clap! It's a new curse, passed down from generation to generation.
Derived from the crabs.
They come from the crabs in the nighttime, from the bushes.
The
Now, I
bushes.
realized he couldn't. It's the same spell, bro.
Same.
Then you let some random chick scarred up looking like a patchwork kilt just touch you and just boop. Done.
Nani?
I searched around for all the clerics in the bushes. Couldn't find one, and then this random bitch just did it for me.
Nani?
The same woman that called me a cowardice necromancer just straight up just boop. Done.
Just would like to put out there that Sherman is taking his party of adventurers into the same spot that his last party died.
Oh, the Raven Queen is supposed to be the cure. Also, I love playing my character. She doesn't take credit for anything. She all puts it on the Raven Queen. I mean, that's technically how Patron works, isn't it? They lent you their powers. I'm not really.
Yes.
It ain't me.
Kind of like a portion of it.
And I love giving people my character's hexblade weapon because she doesn't understand the difference between her wielding it and somebody else. I did that RP with Heswin as well, so it's like this big unwieldy anime hammer. And she's like just twirling it around like it's nothing and hands it to Heswin and he's like, hey, this shit sucks. She's like, no, it doesn't. Look.
Oh my god. Nah, it's amazing. Like, but I got that 20 strength check though.
Got that 20. Well, DM didn't call for it, so it didn't matter.
You're not a DNPC.
Y'all forget that. Y'all forget that it can be whatever I want it to be because it's my RP.
I can set the DC on a boulder to like say 6.
I'm out of Bailey's.
Nani?
God damn it. It's not 9 o'clock. I can go buy some more.
Oh no.
It's Flavor Boy? Oh, you want to talk about flavor? You're talking to the boy who played Sinclair. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh.
The bag of sweets is calling.
The Sinclair sack of sweets. You dull creature.
Dull. You talking to butter? I can't believe it's not butter.
My cat is meowing at me. There's a filthy tabaxi in my room.
Tobacco, you say?
Tabasco, bro.
Tabasco sauce. I'll tell you what. Can you imagine if Tabasco was a thing in the Westmarch? I
What?
wonder what people what if Tabasco, like chili sauce, was a thing in the Westmarch? I wonder how people would react.
I don't know.
They
So
probably dump it on everything.
Sophia doesn't know what it is.
He's amazing.
She's had temple food this entire time. The only thing she knows are waffles and biscuits and gravy.
They serve waffles in the temple?
No, at the tavern. That's the only thing she knows now. I mean, people could just order it from the tavern.
Order it from the tavern.
Technically, yeah.
I mean, I guess you could.
How do you think I flavored Sinclair being able to bake? He just would ask for stuff from the unseen servants, and they just boop.
Seems to have a thick menu. Oh, my friend, you have no idea. I think it is only the thickest.
Time for him to go.
All right, time for me to go. Have a good podcast. And remember, for the RP. All right, Butter. Thank you for stopping by the stream. It was great having you. Good conversation. Awesome. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Now, for all of those still here.
Dude, Vivo is passionate about his about the server, and it's kind of nice to see.
It's amazing that we have people that are that dedicated to
And I noticed the difference too. Like, I'm not gonna say any names or anything like that, obviously, but it's just like, Jesus, the difference is night and day.
Night and day. Or day and night. It's amazing though. Like, I like the server. You know what I mean? Like, the people are cool. We don't have that many issues where a moderator is needed. We can prepare a lot of material. People are having fun.
Yeah, I need to make.
It's all around just like awesome.
I need to make a rotational session. Cause I'm in there, but I haven't really looked in it at all.
Yeah, it's just people just put like writing out their sessions and then they submit it in the channel to get
Yeah, I
it
know.
approved.
It's just like, I don't know what I'd want to run.
There's so many things you could do.
Cause like I would want to run it like one of mine, but the way I run mine is I don't pay attention to XP because I run milestone.
Right.
So I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to underdo it.
Right,
And I'm afraid of having like an XP limitation would kind of stifle that. Unless
it's
if
1300 XP per player.
oh, it's per player. Okay.
Yeah, it's not total allotted.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see, 1300 with like 6 play. Oh, shit.
That's a lot.
6. That's
Gives you a lot of wiggle room to throw some
seven
nasties.
7.8. How much is a fire giant?
In the 5,000 range?
5,000 here.
Somewhere around there. 100%.
Should I just throw one creature that's 7,800?
Fuck.
It's a 1 hour long session. Like the way I want to DM a session is like I want everybody to burn through everything. I want them to come back all with like 1 HP. 1 HP, all spells burned, etc., etc. I want them to feel it.
100%.
Like, I don't want to kill them, but I want them to be like, oh my god, that was really close.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those things where it's like, oh man, can I make it? Can I actually take on this creature? And then when you actually defeat it, you have this sense of accomplishment, like you did something.
Yeah, those 3 Oni, I was fucking scared shitless. But it's like, well, we don't have any other choice. My character wouldn't back out at this point. I mean, she just mercy killed a kid and walked right in. Like, it's on.
Oh yeah. The sweat is happening.
Like I was getting my shit pushed in, but I'm like, I'm just going to stand and fight.
I could feel the various double chins shake through the microphones.
Mayo was leaking at that point, dude. My blood was flowing.
You could up the difficulty a little and have people drag the unconscious back.
Well, I'm just using like a
Yeah.
metaphor, because like obviously not everyone's gonna have a perfectly split damage. Because like the
Yeah,
dude
usually
that
at
sits
the end
up,
of a session in the Westmarch, I kind of like to have a giant time skip, so that way we aren't burning so much time. Because by the time that they've gone through everything on the trail, 5-6 hours have passed.
I agree.
And I'm not trying to have people like waste another 2-3 hours on some stupid random encounter.
Just have them come back. Make the journey out difficult, but don't make it difficult on the way back. Just let it,
100%.
because like you already know the pathway. Like, why is it gotta be dumb?
All right, Sinclair, it's about that time.
4?
The end.
The end. Anything you want to talk about?
At the moment, I have nothing, but it was a great conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Vivo in here. Everybody in chat have fun? We're probably going to wind it down to an end.
We are all grateful that you all stopped by the stream, by the way.
Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your family, drop a follow, please.
Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your grandmammy everything about us.
And for the love of
She
God,
gets real.
and for the love of God, if you're gonna provide money of any form, put it into the server. That's how I feel about it anyways. Cause like, we're just talking about it, man. Vivo, you, this, all the DMs, you know what, even the fucking players are just creating an awesome environment.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible to be part of, and I enjoy it.
Can't DM if we don't have players.
Can't be a player without DMs. It's funny too, because it's like, I have like an interesting point of view, because it's like, I'm the player, the voice of the players in a way, and then it's like, you're the voice of the mods, and then Vivo is the owner.
You're right.
It's kind of like this weird tier. It's like, player of the server, DM of the server / mod, and then owner.
Right.
It's really neat. It's kind of a fun little trifecta we got.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And of course, you chat.
Also, chat's amazing. Don't
Yeah.
forget that y'all beautiful.
Y'all motherfuckers beautiful.
Looking real tight.
Fun server.
6 foot
Looking forward to
tall.
see how it goes.
Tone dabs.
Looking real
Coming
thick.
down them steps. Got a glass of water at your hand, ready to do them things. Ready for the adventure that
About ready to cast mage armor. Oh no, that's not mage armor. Which one's the one that has a glass of water? There's a spell that has glass of water. Oh, shield, I think. No. Armor of Agathis, I think. Armor of Agathis. I know how to spell Agathis, but not disintegration. I'm a fucking nerd. Material, a cup of water. Yeah, there you go. I don't want to get hit. Like, I'm gonna have this icy armor react when you touch me, so I'm gonna dump a glass of water on myself.
Here goes nothing. All right, dudes.
Yeah.
Let's take a shot for goodbye for the chat for the RP.
I'm already in it, dude.
Yeah, I've already been drinking down mine. I'm like 4 locos deep.
Yeah, we're already in it.
Yeah.
Alright, fellas. Thanks for swinging by. Appreciate it. Drop a follow if you're new. All that fun jazz. See you at some point in the future.
Also, remember, every Friday, starting at 6:30 p.m. CST is going to be Tavern Talks only here on Twitch. Thank you all for stopping in on the stream. Have a great day. Stay dangerous and make criticals. Be awesome.
Roll max damage. See you, boys.
And scene.